Welcome to our channel Portzone. Topic of today: Oscar Wilde quotes. When the gods wish to punish us, they answer our prayers. Some cause happiness wherever they go, others whenever they go. Man is least himself when he talks in his own person. Give him a mask, and he will tell you the truth. There is only one thing in life worse than being talked about, and that is not being talked about. To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. A dreamer is one who can only find his way by moonlight, and his punishment is that he sees the dawn before the rest of the world. When I was young, I thought that money was the most important thing in life. Now that I am old, I know that it is. All women become like their mothers. That is their tragedy. No man does. That's his. There are only two tragedies in life. One is not getting what one wants, and the other is getting it. True friends stab you in the front. Children begin by loving their parents. After a time they judge them. Rarely, if ever, do they forgive them. The only difference between the saint and the sinner is that every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future. Experience is simply the name we give our mistakes. Between men and women there is no friendship possible. There is passion, enmity, worship, love, but no friendship. Consistency is the last refuge of the unimaginative. To lose one parent may be regarded as a misfortune, to lose both looks like carelessness. I have the simplest tastes. I am always satisfied with the best. Patriotism is the virtue of the vicious. If you are not too long, I will wait here for you all my life. Experience is one thing you can't get for nothing. I can resist everything except temptation. Memory is the diary that we all carry about with us. Education is an admirable thing, but it is well to remember from time to time that nothing that is worth knowing can be taught. Ridicule is the tribute paid to the genius by the mediocrities. Work is the curse of the drinking classes. Success is a science. If you have the conditions, you get the result. Ambition is the last refuge of the failure. Morality is simply the attitude we adopt towards people whom we personally dislike. To expect the unexpected shows a thoroughly modern intellect. Keep love in your heart. A life without it is like a sunless garden when the flowers are dead. A man's face is his autobiography. A woman's face is her work of fiction. Sometimes the poor are praised for being thrifty. But to recommend thrift to the poor is both grotesque and insulting. It is like advising a man who is starving to eat less. Life imitates art far more than art imitates life. Beauty is the only thing that time cannot harm. Philosophies fall away like sand, creeds follow one another, but what is beautiful is a joy for all seasons, a possession for all eternity. What is a cynic? A man who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. Men always want to be a woman's first love, women like to be a man's last romance. It is absurd to divide people into good and bad. People are either charming or tedious. One should always be in love. That is the reason one should never marry. The only way to get rid of temptation is to yield to it. I can resist everything but temptation. Most people are other people. Their thoughts are someone else's opinions, their lives a mimicry, their passions a quotation. I always pass on good advice. It is the only thing to do with it. It is never of any use to oneself. Moderation is a fatal thing. Nothing succeeds like excess. America is the only country that went from barbarism to decadence without civilization in between. Women are made to be loved, not understood. We are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. Life is never fair, and perhaps it is a good thing for most of us that it is not. A man can be happy with any woman, as long as he does not love her. No man is rich enough to buy back his past. Life is far too important a thing ever to talk seriously about. A gentleman is one who never hurts anyone's feelings unintentionally. Society exists only as a mental concept. In the real world there are only individuals. I am so clever that sometimes I don't understand a single word of what I am saying. The world is a stage, but the play is badly cast. A man who does not think for himself does not think at all. Bigamy is having one wife too many. Monogamy is the same. By giving us the opinions of the uneducated, journalism keeps us in touch with the ignorance of the community. Questions are never indiscreet, answers sometimes are. One of the many lessons that one learns in prison is that things are what they are and will be what they will be. As long as war is regarded as wicked, it will always have its fascination. When it is looked upon as vulgar, it will cease to be popular. It is better to be beautiful than to be good. But, it is better to be good than to be ugly. Men marry because they are tired, women, because they are curious, both are disappointed. How can a woman be expected to be happy with a man who insists on treating her as if she were a perfectly normal human being? Conversation about the weather is the last refuge of the unimaginative. I choose my friends for their good looks, my acquaintances for their good characters, and my enemies for their intellects. A man cannot be too careful in the choice of his enemies. Democracy means simply the bludgeoning of the people by the people for the people. Who, being loved, is poor. The old believe everything, the middle-aged suspect everything, the young know everything. I am the only person in the world I should like to know thoroughly. Selfishness is not living as one wishes to live, it is asking others to live as one wishes to live. An excellent man, he has no enemies, and none of his friends like him. The truth is rarely pure and never simple. He has no enemies, but is intensely disliked by his friends. I never travel without my diary. One should always have something sensational to read in the train. The true mystery of the world is the visible, not the invisible. Everybody who is incapable of learning has taken to teaching. It is what you read when you don't have to that determines what you will be when you can't help it. I sometimes think that God in creating man somewhat overestimated his ability. This suspense is terrible. I hope it will last. A little sincerity is a dangerous thing, and a great deal of it is absolutely fatal. One's real life is so often the life that one does not lead. Always forgive your enemies, nothing annoys them so much. There is no sin except stupidity. All art is at once surface and symbol. Those who go beneath the surface do so at their peril. Those who read the symbol do so at their peril. It is the spectator, and not life, that art really mirrors. Diversity of opinion about a work of art shows that the work is new, complex and vital. Nothing is so aggravating than calmness. Woman begins by resisting a man's advances and ends by blocking his retreat. Hatred is blind, as well as love. I am not young enough to know everything. A thing is not necessarily true because a man dies for it. You will always be fond of me. I represent to you all the sins you have never had the courage to commit. The critic has to educate the public, the artist has to educate the critic. Laughter is not at all a bad beginning for a friendship, and it is far the best ending for one. The only thing to do with good advice is to pass it on. It is never of any use to oneself. She is a peacock in everything but beauty. Whenever people agree with me, I always feel I must be wrong. Art is the most intense mode of individualism that the world has known. It is through art, and through art only, that we can realize our perfection. Ordinary riches can be stolen, real riches cannot. In your soul are infinitely precious things that cannot be taken from you. Seriousness is the only refuge of the shallow. Fathers should be neither seen nor heard. That is the only proper basis for family life. When a man has once loved a woman, he will do anything for her except continue to love her. There is nothing in the world like the devotion of a married woman. It is a thing no married man knows anything about. It is better to have a permanent income than to be fascinating. The books that the world calls immoral are books that show the world its own shame. One can survive everything, nowadays, except death, and live down everything except a good reputation. No woman should ever be quite accurate about her age. It looks so calculating. The one charm about marriage is that it makes a life of deception absolutely necessary for both parties. No great artist ever sees things as they really are. If he did, he would cease to be an artist. A man can't be too careful in the choice of his enemies. Man can believe the impossible, but man can never believe the improbable. If one could only teach the English how to talk, and the Irish how to listen, society here would be quite civilized. Our ambition should be to rule ourselves, the true kingdom for each one of us. And true progress is to know more, and be more, and to do more. There is nothing so difficult to marry as a large nose. The man who can dominate a London dinner table can dominate the world. Those whom the gods love grow young. Every portrait that is painted with feeling is a portrait of the artist, not of the sitter. Fashion is a form of ugliness so intolerable that we have to alter it every 6 months. Beauty has as many meanings as man has moods. Beauty is the symbol of symbols. Beauty reveals everything, because it expresses nothing. When it shows us itself, it shows us the whole fiery colored world. Subscribe to watch more. Don't forget to like and comments. Thanks for watching.